Take apologies for absence.
Councillor Ireland Senior and Councillor Ireland Junior.
So Councillors Ireland. I also, just before the meeting, had a phone call from Councillor Bowers, who unfortunately has another engagement this evening. He apologised for sending his apologies in late.
So both Councillor Ireland said they had another engagement.
Is that somebody?
Right, I'm just going to speak about the absence again. I spoke about it before. Again, we've got Councillor Ireland Senior putting an apology in. He may have a good reason. I have no evidence against that. However, I think if I remember rightly last time, he's attended one meeting since last October. There's other councillors that are not attending meetings. And I think we need to start, maybe as a council, asking the question, why are these people elected and not turning up?
Can I have a proposal for those apologies, please?
You to prove a reason for absence.
I approve the reasons.
All those in favour? That's not a majority.
The reason for absence given by all three councillors is another engagement. I don't have any more information about that. What the council needs to do is approve or otherwise their reasons for absence.
Can I ask a point of order? I was going to say on the point of order, do we have to approve? Can it be recorded as that council didn't approve?
You don't have to approve the. So there wasn't a majority there. So at the moment, the council wouldn't be approving those reasons. It's absolutely fine. So all those in favour of approving the reasons for absence? I'll take against. Okay, so the council doesn't approve those reasons. So section 2 of the agenda, declaration of disclosure of pecuniary and other interests. So any interests to declare under A? Okay. Have we received any written requests for dispensation?
No.
So we haven't received any written requests for dispensation, but you'll note in the agenda pack there was a document that councillors could use to record their interest and to make those requests under item B. 3 items which the press and public should be excluded, so because it's in the absence of the public and the press. Any agenda items there?
Yes, Chairman.
Yep.
8A, please.
8A. So that's cemetery provision.
Yeah, contractual. Contractual, and we have a confidentiality agreement in one of the quotes.
Item 8C and 8D, contractual reasons.
8C, which is legal regarding the lease, and 8D, which again, actually we have some advice, we have some contractual information.
And 8E for security.
8E for what reason?
Security.
Prejudicial to public interest. Any others? Proposal and second for those, please. All those in favour? Thank you. So to receive and confirm the minutes of the meeting of the Parish Council held on Monday the 15th of October. Can I take anything on page 1? Page 2? Diane, is that just a...
No, that's just me. That's just me.
Was it
Page
in Australia, or I think you weren't elected.
Historically.
Page 5.
Yep. Page 5, 102.18.
Yep.
I left the room. I declared a personal interest and left the room on that subject. And it's not recorded. Could we have it down as being recorded?
Agenda item is that?
102.18. 102.18, page 5.
Next, we make that amendment.
Well, I propose...
Stuart's just noting that he declared his interest and left.
Propose the amendment
like
that
minutes.
on 102.18 that the following be inserted. Councillor Thornton declared a personal interest and left the room. That's the proposal.
Seconded.
Anything on page 6 or 7 that anyone wants to comment on?
You have to vote on it.
Yeah, I'm just checking if there's anything else that needs to be covered. Great. Can I have a seconder for Stuart's proposal? All those in favour? Thank you. It's always good when that happens, but we don't have any rights of burial to authorise.
From ideal method.
So it's item 11, which is dog walking. I think it's probably pertinent to bring that up. But if members are happy to cover governance matters first and then move item 11 up the agenda. So governance matters, just to note the uncontested election of Councillor Glyn Pendergast as a member of the Parish Council of the North Ward. So welcome, Glyn. I know you've attended a couple of other meetings so far, but our newest Parish Councillor for the North Ward. Welcome. So this is B, should be fairly quick. One to note from Clark, just to ameliorate public participation. So Chris has a paper for us. This is really just for noting. Chris will distribute the paper and we'll consider this at the next meeting. So please have a read before the next one. 6, which is Councillor Jepson. Hopefully you can make this one fairly brief. But Clive, do you want to come in? And is there anything? Can you tell us if there's anything that you want to propose on this?
Well, I'm a bit.
Could you just use the microphone?
Yeah, sorry.
What's going there?
No, don't work 3 miles away.
Yeah, this relates back to the council meeting in March earlier this year when we did take a vote on this particular resolution. As far as I'm aware, the previous clerk didn't act on it, and I just really want to see where we go on this, because again the councillor in question is not at the meeting to either answer or speak on his own behalf. So it's
sorry,
really.
Mike, could you use the microphone?
Yeah.
The benefit of the councillors that weren't on the council at the time, just briefly summarise.
Yeah, this relates back to a planning application earlier this year, last year, when the recorded vote was taken at the council in relation to Council Island Senior and also Ellsworth Acres Limited. It's in the minutes if people want to read it, which they should have done. 23/2/17 to approve response to emails re planning application RB 2017/1192. As far as I'm aware, the previous clerk took no action on this. I have discussed where we stand with Chris at the moment. I really don't know what members want to do with this. We had a vote. It was 10 for, 1 against, that we take some action against both the named people in it. As far as I'm aware, nothing's happened. I get to the point where I think it's that long since it happened. Is it worth actually doing anything about it? But then again, I think, well, why should we drop it? Because I think have people read this minute?
So this was the minute, just correct me if I'm wrong, this was the minute requiring an apology?
Yeah, that's right. I understand from the clerk that we can't actually ask a councillor to apologise, but I'm not happy with that as a resolution. I seem to remember, and Councillor Thornton probably will as well, that he was censured by this council a few years since. I'm sure ex-councillor Baker can remember that, and was removed from all committees, etc., etc. And that wasn't for anything, as far as I'm concerned, as bad as this, really. And I don't think we took action. This wasn't a directive from Rotherham, if I remember correctly. Stuart might well remind me of that. I don't think it was a result of anything. Was it a result of anything coming from Rotherham to take you off committees, Stuart? It was. I seem to remember it was a resolution passed at a meeting.
It was a recommendation. Looking back in the minutes, it was a recommendation of the Standards Committee.
Was it a recommendation?
It's actually enacted by the parish.
I was also really responding to Mrs. Ryan, members of the Labour Party, because they didn't like me asking the awkward questions. Can I just come in on this?
Yeah, go on.
Can I ask the client to make a proposal before you do so?
Well, I don't really know what members want to do. I still think we should pursue it. I've got a copy of the emails, the one from Ellsworth Acres, their comments about that parish council, I think were totally uncalled for, and allegations again made in that email that, funny enough, was withdrawn from the website as soon as the decision was made, but fortunately I beat them to their own game, and I've got copies of it, what it actually said, and it was absolutely it was funny actually, because we were accused of hijacking the planning board bus, so it went a different route to the proposal site. Now where on earth that's come from, I don't know. I imagine one of us stood there with a gun saying take me to Common Lane by a different direction. It's not quite on. So as I say, nothing's happened. It's up to council whether they want to pursue these. As I say, if we can't take any action against Council Island, then I'll seek another route to do that, but I'm not being called a bigot by anybody, let alone another councillor, for something that is not true. And all the objections we raised to these planning applications, and again, ex-councillor Baker knows this, he was there when we had about 2 of them, we've only gone down the route of the real planning objections. You cannot do it on anything else because it's thrown out by the planning department. So to accuse of us sort of like religious bias or being bigoted is absolute nonsense. The planners don't make decisions based on that. They don't take it into consideration. And I'm still really annoyed about this. Well, I would like to propose that we actually take what action we can at this moment in time. I don't know what that is. I would leave that to the clerk to tell me what he thinks we can actually do along these lines. Stuart, you want to come in?
Yeah, I'll make a proposal. My proposal is that we ask the clerk to write to Council Island Senior with a copy of the minute 2/2/17 and ask him to either apologise again or make a comment. And depending on what happens with that, then we have to do something with that. But my proposal is to write once more, so it's such a long time ago, to remind him that it was passed.
Again, just for the benefit of those that weren't here at the time, so this was the planning application for the church that would have been in Northampton. It was probably best described as quite a rigorous debate, I think, on all sides, and obviously the council minuted that action. Chris, can I just bring you in terms of mechanisms? I guess we've got the standards committee. So if Clive, if you feel aggrieved in any way, you could obviously contact the standards committee at Rotherham. Chris, is there anything else that you would perhaps recommend?
Well, I want to talk to Rotherham Standards first, because there has been case law over the last couple of years which has, in very simple terms, said that parish councils can't impose sanctions on their own councillors. It's up for the principal authority, in this case Rotherham, to decide whether they breach the code of conduct and impose sanctions.
But I just go into I should take that forward as an individual to the standards and ethics committee. Doesn't have to be the parish council, that's the only way to get some resolution.
I think that might be the most appropriate.
And the other bit, I've just found the actual email that was sent in. We were bitter racist parish councillors, and again, I'm sorry, but I'm not in that from anybody.
Okay, so Stuart has a proposal on the table. He just
basically ask the clerk to write to him again with the minute 2/2/17 and ask him to either apologise or make a statement.
Can I say there's also a second part of that, which is right to Ellsworth Acres, and that's what we've done, and I would propose that the clerk actually does that.
Can I remind members just to speak once on that proposal, Diane?
And I second the proposal, please.
Good. Anybody else want to comment?
No, bring it on.
Can I just,
Right of reply?
Right, just to say what you mentioned Ellsworth Acres there, Clive. There was other comments made by members of the Brethren Church, and I wrote to one of the members of the Brethren Church, and I received a full apology from them for the language that one of their members, I think, so he described. So I received a full apology, and I've no doubt They
We
would.
as a council haven't, have we?
Well, I don't think it's been asked, but I'm quite sure. I think they would apologise as well.
I'd like to ask that we, I think we've had sufficient debate for us to move to the vote at this point. It's proposed, it's seconded, all those in favour of Stuart's proposal? Okay, that's carried.
We need to ask Councillor Ireland to ask him.
Remind him of the minute.
Copy of the minutes.
What about the second part though? That's still.
Well, I'm not too afraid of that, because
I think it's a case of
Well, I am.
right to him, send him a copy of the minutes and ask for a response.
Apologising to one councillor, he's not apologising to the council, and that was the resolution to the council.
So you're wanting the council to write to
Yeah.
Ellsworth Acres to ask them an apology?
It's still a resolution.
I think it's a case of writing to him and asking, giving him a copy of the minutes and then asking for a response. I think that's what they because the instructions contained in the resolution.
It is, but in both instances, I would ask the clerk to follow the vote.
I'm happy to write to the challenge.
Good. If members are happy, just for the benefit of the public in attendance, rather than subjecting them to all of the rest of the agenda, if we are happy to move to parish matters to receive an update. So Chris hasn't had a chance to prepare a full paper yet. I'm sure he'll do something in due course. There's been quite a lot to investigate on this one. But Chris is happy before we start the discussion just to give a quick verbal update.
One of the reasons why I haven't written the paper is I'm still waiting for some external advice back, but just to go over what's happened. Back in September, one day, I can't remember which day it was now, but I was ruled by a lady, I don't know if there's anyone present here, who was upset about being fined by a dog warden up at Ratford Meadow. About an hour or so later, 2 dog wardens appeared at the parish office. That's a surprise to me. They informed me that the council had given them permission previously to go onto our land and take enforcement action. Subsequent to that, I followed it up with Rotherham Council, their legal department, and I think I sent you a copy of what the response had got. In their view, it's not agricultural land. Therefore, the dog control order is applicable to Ratford Meadow and they can take enforcement action. What I have been doing with our advisory body is trying to get advice from them about whether they think it's agricultural land or not. Thus far, we've not found anything which suggests that it would be agricultural land in a legal sense. When we bought it, it was bought with the express purpose of public open space. But I'm still taking advice on that. But as far as it stands, as I say, Rotherham Council don't believe it's agricultural land. They feel they've got full powers.
Because it's not mowed, it's not maintained like one valley.
Sorry, ladies. I know it's the first time you've been to a meeting, but
I'll just conclude. At the charity meeting the other week, I asked them. At the charity meeting last week, I asked them just to clarify that they were happy for Rotherham Council to take enforcement action on charity lands. That's what they did. There will be a minute to that effect, and I will be letting Rotherham Council know that. It would be helpful, I think, going forward if the council tonight can decide whether they want Rotherham Council to take enforcement action on Ratford Meadow or other council-owned land.
Great, thanks. So just for the benefit of members of the public, the way that the session works is at the start of the council meeting there's 20 minutes for members of the public to have their say and ask questions. Unfortunately, in the past, and even in the quite recent past, the council struggled with members of the public interrupting the session. What that means is even though you're all being incredibly well behaved, we try not to get members of the public involved in the discussion. So by all means, feel free to have a listen, come and talk to us afterwards, or come and talk to some of you already been in touch with the clerk or individual councillors. What I'll do is I will invite you if there's anything that you want to add, because this is obviously your first time here and it's an issue that we're discussing. Are members happy if I just invite the members of the public in attendance to have a very brief say
We've not voted yet.
Can I ask members if you're happy to allow that? Anyone against?
I'm against. I think it sets a dangerous precedence. And in the past, we've prevented other people from speaking. We have to treat everybody exactly the same, no matter how painful it is.
So you're against?
I'm against it.
Can I just refer to the new standing orders that we received? Have a look at 3E, please. I don't know whether you've got it there, Chris. I know it relates really to the public session, but it may be relevant.
Members of the public may make representations, answer questions and give evidence at a meeting which they are entitled to attend in respect of the business on the agenda. So you can allow them to speak, but you can also suspend that standing order. My advice on this particular occasion is to let everyone who has an interest in the dog walking issue afterwards have a say to inform the conversation, but we can't get into extended conversation.
Okay, we have to take the vote on that again. I would like to allow the lady to speak briefly. I do need a show of hands from you though, so we don't need to suspend it. We just
Is it a formal proposal?
Okay. The formal proposal, I will make a formal proposal to allow the ladies in the audience there who want to speak on the issue of dog fouling to have a short statement heard. Is that seconded? Seconded. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Feel free to fire away.
Well, the point I wanted to bring up basically, I've spoken to the department of the dog wardens in Rotherham Borough Council, and they said if you, after speaking to Mr. Ireland, he said that you were going to propose cutting the land twice a year to hay, which then makes it fall under agricultural land. Therefore, they haven't got the right because they can't sign it. We're all responsible dog walkers. We all want to clean up after ourselves in appropriate areas, but that field is a safe area for dogs to go off lead. The dogs, the lady that tried to find me, the dogs were in the middle of the field, nowhere near any of the public footpaths that go through. She wouldn't point me in the right direction, so I couldn't even find it. There was no proof. There was another lady who was fined for her dog actually going to the toilet underneath a hedge that she couldn't even reach anyway. The council have actually agreed that if you decide to make it agricultural land, which you have the right to do because it's your land, it's not theirs, then they will no longer send a dog warden on there. You don't receive any money from the fine, and it's your land, or our land. Rotherham Borough Council make money out of it. And that's all it was. It was money making.
Thank you.
But there is a lot of dog fouling up there. These are responsible. There's a hell of a lot more on one. And when we had the wood carving, I was there a few weeks. She picked up the two schools. The children were coming up, and she had 15 lots of dog mugs to pick up till it made her feel sick. And she said, "I've just got to leave it." And there's a lot go on. We'll just let the dog go. We were picking blackberries, and the dog came up and ate the thing, eating the blackberries. And there was a runner, a trainer, running across, and two dogs shot after him, were terrified. So,
thank you, Sandra.
You know.
Sorry, the lady at the back.
Okay.
Can I ask members of the public, we've only got a limited amount of time, so please be quick.
Okay. First of all, when the grass is 12 to 15 inches tall, you can't pick up. Because when you put your hand to get the poo, you're trying to pick up long grass as well. Okay. So that is virtually impossible. Quite right, when you've got dogs doing it under the hedge, you can't go into nettles and brambles to pick it up. And that family event that was up there this year was the very first time. And yes, it should be managed. But if we know that there was a family event, why can't you barrier where the family's going to be and let the rest of us walk? The other thing comes in, where does the line stop? Does it stop as we go to Rabbit Ridge? Does it stop when we go into the woods? You've got to decide where we can go. When we're down here, when we're on Greenland, we clean up. Miles has seen me down here on a regular basis, and you'll notice that my dogs are always clean and well behaved. So, targeting everybody because of those few, and if you come a mile across that field and you've got 4 bags of poo, where are you going to put it? Carry it all the way back, carry a carrier bag with you. It doesn't seem fair. Why are we being victimised?
Thank you. We need to be really quick. I actually invited the ladies who came to the proposal. If you'll be very quick.
Very quick. One of the points you've got to be looking at is, when the council purchased that building, I believe that they paid agricultural price for it. But if they paid agricultural price, it would stand common sense that it's agricultural land. As the lady said, it is now being cooked and the grass sold. So you've actually made it agricultural. Yes, you have, Clyde, and I own land as well, so I know all about agricultural land, and what I'm telling you is, and under the new dual police way, there's even a suggestion is that you might even start grazing cattle. So if that's not to be agricultural, what do you mean by the don't know? That's what they said. Told me that.
I'll be very brief.
I'm sorry, we're going off the subject now.
If you've never applied for a change of use, it's agricultural.
Right. We'll draw a line under that. We invite members of the public to speak. You did so in quite a civilised manner. Thank you very much. Before I bring in Colin and Stuart who want to talk on this, I think just to summarise the question, really, the parish council needs, and Clyde, the parish council needs to decide whether it wants to allow dog poo not to be picked up on the site. Chris, can I just bring you in?
Just to add, as well as complaints from dog walkers who've been fined by Rotherham back in Ratford Meadow, I've also had complaints by other people using Ratford Meadow about the dog poo, people who were at the education event back in October. I've also had complaints about dog walkers not having their dogs on a lead on Ratford Meadow. That's both individual people with one dog and people with numbers of dogs.
Okay, so Colin was first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Can you give me a proposal on this one? Because otherwise we end up going round in...
Thank you. Just to put this to bed, I've got a copy of the contract document here for Ratford Meadows. It is not agricultural land. No, excuse me, don't interrupt. Nowhere in this document does it say that Ratford Meadows is agricultural land. So now dog faeces is a hell of a problem. And just Kevin, please don't interrupt. It's very rude. I don't interrupt you. Now don't interrupt me.
I can sit here banging this all night. Colin, you need to go through. Just speak.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Speak to the members. Speak to the members.
This document does not say anywhere that Ratford Meadows is agricultural land. Now we all agree that dog faeces is a problem. I'm a dog owner and I pick up after my dog like most people. I don't have a problem with Rotherham Borough dog wardens fining irresponsible dog owners. People have a right to walk along the public highway or the public rights of way through there without the feet getting covered in dog muck.
What's your proposal, Colin?
My proposal is that we do not raise any objection to Rotherham dog wardens being on Ratford Meadows.
Does that have a second?
So Stuart was the next person to speak.
Yeah, just a quick one on that. I don't disagree entirely what's just been proposed, but I think the proposal should be postponed until we've had advice from Robin, which I believe we're waiting for. Let's take up some points, some quick points. First of all, the member of the public, I don't know who it was, they quoted that Councillor Ireland, I believe it's Junior, Councillor Ireland Junior says, it's agricultural land because we've agreed to have it cut twice. That's wrong. There's never been no agreement by this council to have that field cut twice a year. So it's giving you misinformation. The other one is, I've asked the question several times about the designation of the land here on the charity and the field, of whether it is open space, because I have concerns that the company that's doing the dog, if it's the dog wardens that are employed by RMBC, I don't have a major concern. But if we're bringing in other people who are doing the littering, etc., that's a private company, and I have serious concerns that a private company is making profit out of finding people. I believe, if I'm right, the clerk is seeking advice on whether the land is open space. Is that correct? Are you seeking advice whether it's open space?
Yes. Rotherham Council's legal department think that it is not agricultural land, but I'm taking our own private legal advice to get our opinion.
So there's not a lot we can do, I don't think, until that advice comes back. Thirdly, what worries me slightly, I don't know which member of the public said it, but I'm not too bothered, is says, on the whole, we don't pick up. It's a field owned by the council, whether it's agricultural or open spaces. The field is owned for the enjoyment of the people of Anston. If you're a dog owner and your dog goes to the toilet on that field, everyone should be picking it up regardless of who they are, because it causes contamination. There seems to be a lot of myths going around about what's not and what's right and what's wrong, and at the end of the day it will boil down to the council to make the decision. If you're a dog owner and your dog goes to the toilet on that field, it's not your field, you should pick it up, full stop.
Right.
Thanks, Chair. Can I just say, I was at that event that people refer to on the 2 days. We had, on the Friday, we had the schools, 2 schools, and I absolutely disgusted why we went off. I have to say, on the, I can't remember, the morning, afternoon, we had Anston Brook and Anston Greenlands, who sent about 60 children each. These kids were having a good time until somebody walked through with 2 dogs, not under control, off the lead, 200 yards in front of her, started running around all the children while they were doing events. It's not on. And I appreciate your problems, but the responsible ones are being let down by the irresponsible ones. And I don't have a problem with people exercising the dogs up there. But A, it should be under control, which you need to if you're going to comply. And that doesn't mean them running off 200 yards in front. Picking up, they weren't doing that. We cleaned up on Friday. In fact, the handyman from the parish council, Dave, cleaned God knows how many bars of dog faces. This is what we were faced with on the Saturday morning when that event was for everybody. Now that, you cannot say that's acceptable. There were 4 lots within about 12 foot of each other. There were 2 dog bins, one on Rackford Road, one at the bottom end of Rackford Meadows. They're emptied on a regular basis, and if there's a problem with that, we'll sort that out with the Borough Council. But if they know where they are, they're emptied on a regular basis. So to say there's nowhere to put that is wrong. The lady that had those dogs, they were running around, they were quite large. The kids they were using tools to do some wood carving. Now, if one of them were being chased by a dog and the hand had slipped and a chisel was through it, whose fault is that? It's not ours. We've done all the risk assessments and everything else. We hired, as Borough Council, that land off the Parish Council, but we won't be hiring it again because of the mess up there and what happened. So, that land is for recreational use for the people of Anston. That's what it was bought for. I was here when we bought it. Stephen was here when we bought it. Councillor Thornton was here when we bought it. We didn't agree with buying it for a start because we thought it was too much. But it's for the people of Anston. And we're losing money on that field because we have it cut we have it cut when there's an event. So this year it's been cut once before the event. Or twice, okay. But that's as and when it needs cutting. But you cannot say that we can't pick it up. I've seen dogs running around there in packs of 6 or 8. They're all over the place. And to me, that's wrong. I've spoke to dog owners that were at that event, teachers that were dog owners, and they were disgusted by what happened. and they said they would have their dogs under control and pick up. You can't just let them roam all over the place. There was one guy there, he said, I'd like to bring my kids on here to play football. He said, but I can't because I don't know what we're
Just
going
to
to
let you know, Clive, you're nearly at 3 minutes.
He doesn't. No, sorry, don't interrupt. I'm not interrupting you. If he lives at Northampton, sorry, Chair, but
Please talk to us.
sorry, but if he lives at Northampton, why would he want to bring his kids down here if he can just walk along Radford Road and kick a ball about? You don't have to go on a football pitch to kick a ball about. So what you're saying is totally incorrect. He said he will go on there a lot more with his kids and do it. Why are you shaking your head?
Clive,
I'm sorry, but it's...
can I ask members of the public, please?
But you don't.
I'm just going.
I stopped. It's not me. People won't go on there because of the dog mess.
You're at your time limit.
Exactly it.
Now, Clive.
No, you're missing the point. That's it. That's acceptable. Never. Joking.
Yet again, on another meeting, the chairman has lost control of the meeting. The chairman sits there, for the good order of the meeting.
It's disgusting, that on there.
If you're not going to take action, maybe then we need to have another chairman.
Thank you. I think the standing order says that the chairman's ruling on the point of order is final. Rule that's not particularly admissible. If you want to make some changes, you need to pop it on the agenda, Stuart. It's members and it's members of the public. Please stop. Okay. We've had a proposal from Master that we moved to the vote. I do think this one needs a bit more discussion. I'd like to speak. I think Ben would like to speak also on this one. We need to be quick. Clive's had his amount of time. Stuart and Luke and everybody else needs to get a word. I think that this question about whether it's agricultural land or not isn't really all that relevant at the moment. Chris is seeking some advice. The real questions that are in front of us are do we as a council want to let dog wardens up there or not? If the answer to that is yes, then do we want them to focus on the paths, just the paths, or the other areas of the field, and are the bins that are provided up there adequate? And is the signage that's up there adequate? So we've got quite a bit actually to discuss on this one, but I think the first point is Colin's proposal. Does the council actually want dog wardens to be allowed to go on that land? Because ultimately it's our choice really, and if we tell Rotherham that we don't, then I'm quite sure that they'll understand that and they'll recognise that. And if we want them to, then I'm sure that they will. Ben?
Chairman, cast your mind back to early 2017, about halfway through actually, 2017, we went to great lengths to try and persuade the Environmental Department of RMBC to show some attendance in the southern area of Rotherham, and we spent about 5 months trying to get them to actually attend here, even down to analysing the work records and timesheets of the RMBC employees. Now we do not want them to. I think exceedingly careful about that.
They didn't do it because they didn't have resources.
Yeah.
Clive,
they have
please.
now.
They never have.
They have now.
Yeah.
They have now.
Does anyone else want to speak on that? Okay, we've got a proposal. It has to be a point of order.
The question I'm looking at the back is, we're in the middle of asking for advice, and I'm asking the question is it wise to make a decision on a subject that we're seeking advice on?
Probably not.
If I can answer that through the chair, the
question was asked to me. It probably would make sense to wait until we've received our own independent advice, independent from Rotherham. I may even actually instruct our solicitors to actually give us a view as well as our county association about whether Radford Meadow is agricultural land or not. I think what would be useful though is if we just park Radford Meadow itself until that advice is received, there's no reason to stop the council, I think, taking a decision tonight to allow Rotherham to take enforcement action on other parish council-owned land. That is something we could do now.
So, Colin, are you happy? That's basically the spirit.
Yeah, what I was going to say was that the reason for my proposal was that the more people that are caught by the dog wardens, the sooner the policy will be enforced. We can't. We just cannot allow people to take their dogs up there and make a mess randomly.
We can't hire it out, as it stands.
Clive, please don't.
Sorry, Chair.
Okay, so I think that's pretty much
We think.
discussed. Are we happy to move to the vote? It's proposed. It was seconded. All those in favour?
I'm afraid I've lost what the proposal was.
It's twofold.
Yeah.
One, to allow Rotherham Council to take enforcement action on land, on parish council-owned land other than Ratford Meadow.
Right, okay.
Then we'll have another discussion about Ratford Meadow itself when we have received our own independent
So we pass this at charity on
legal
it.
advice.
Or charity land.
They're asking Elliot's rule, that is open space, whether Elliot's rule is open people.
It doesn't matter at this stage. That's not admissible to the point of the question. So, as Chris has just said, we're voting on whether we want to allow the borough to undertake enforcement
Well, the
action.
parish councils don't allow
We'll,
that.
as Chris says, hold that off making a decision on Ratford Meadow itself, but other parish land. The charity made that decision last week.
That was not my proposal because
Okay.
I don't see what difference it makes whether or not it's agricultural land, open land, parkland. The fact is, we own the land and dogs are making a mess on it.
Can I explain? Yeah. Rotherham have a dog control order which basically enables them to go on any bit of public open space in the Rotherham district and take enforcement action. Not just their land, anybody's land, it's open to the public. There's an exception in that regarding agricultural land. The dog control order doesn't apply to agricultural land. So there's no point having Rotherham Council come up and taking enforcement action if in law, it might have to be tested in court, but if in law it's agricultural land, because they can't take enforcement action.
Okay. Okay.
Well, the parish councils.
Members, are you happy with what you're voting?
Todwick
Yes.
would say so.
Nobody's saying no.
Yeah.
So you're happy with what you're voting on at this stage?
If they can
All
do
those
it,
in
why
favour?
can't we?
Okay, that's a majority, thank you.
I remember the day. Wrong decision, people.
Let's not.
Okay, so we're now back to item 7, planning and highways map.
You've just given them.
Fairly
You've just
uncontentious,
given
I
them
hope.
the right to do
So,
So what? I want them to do it. Having
7A,
been-
which is RB
not accepted.
2018-1575, which is demolition of an existing building and erection of a new farm shop. Any comments?
Yes, it is. Do it.
Go through the chair.
That's why I asked it to be
Yeah,
repeated.
ask through the chair.
Second time that's happened now in 2 meetings.
It is within our...
It is, yeah. Sorry, no, I'm just clarifying that, Stuart.
I propose we refer to neighbourhoods and whatever else.
No response.
No response.
No response.
Has any
I'm not sure.
truck, car, vehicle?
Responses, but I think this has been up before, isn't it?
No.
Not sure to have. If you're going to build it down there, really down, could be no response, but then,
Can I say, I've missed this one, I will have a look at it, but my main concern would be if that's where I think it is, it's at the crossroads of Common Road and Todwick Road, and if you're converting that to, I know they do sell potatoes and stuff like that, but if it's going to be a farm shop, traffic may well be an issue at that junction, but I would hope Rotherham would, highways, having said that, knowing Rotherham highways, it wouldn't matter if they were taking chieftain tanks down there, they wouldn't find a problem. So I'll have a look at it individually and see what I think. But it's, again, it's up to councils if they want to put an objection individually, they can, rather than collective. That's also an option for planning application.
No response be made. It's seconded. All those in favour? Second one, RB 2018-1779, is the building consent, 7 The Green, Northampton. for replacement of doors and windows. Stuart, you're first.
No,
Yeah, this is replacing doors and windows. It's in a conservation area. I'm not sure if it is listed. So I suggest that we leave it to the planners.
Conservation officer will decide.
It's a very rigorous application and specifies exactly what the property is.
Seconded. All those in favour?
No response.
No response. No response. For the benefit of new members as well, the previous clerks had a sort of tradition of the council, rather than voting to make no response, the council voted to leave it to the neighbours and planners, but then the council didn't actually write to the neighbours and planners. The more correct way of doing it is to not make a response. So the council is saying that it doesn't disapprove of the application, but neither is it strongly supporting it. It's leaving it to the principal authority, to the planning department, to make a decision. Okay. 8, land and property matters. To receive an update, the first one has gone to confidential. What's the vote on it here? Yep. B.
But we're taking that in confidence. We can decide now if you want to take it into confidential.
Not confidential, are you happy to, do you want to talk to it, Councillor Bentley and so on? You've provided us with quite a thorough briefing, briefing paper on
Thank you, Councillor Bentley. Thank you, Chairman.
Just before I bring Colin in, there is a proposal at the end of the briefing paper. I'd very much like you to make a proposal, Colin, because otherwise we'll go around in...
Right, thank you. I don't propose, you've all had a chance to read this, I don't propose to go through it line by line. It's summarised, this came about because ex-councillor Sadler put some effort in and investigated the supply of water to Rafford Meadows. And Yorkshire Water quoted us £20,000, which is a very considerable sum of money. I took a guess that there's got to be water up there because there's an aquifer. So I asked Councillor Bentley to help me with this, and between us we produced the report. What it boils down to is that you can extract 20,000 litres of water a day without a licence. We don't need particular filtering because it's not for drinking purposes. What it does boil down to is that when we have the budget discussions, I would like the council to consider it. And strangely enough, there are no companies in the north of England that undertake water borehole surveying. Very, very strangely. I've spent a lot of time on the net searching, and there are no companies in Yorkshire that do this. There are various standards to be met and conditions and environmental licences. I will finish off there, let Councillor Bentley finish, and perhaps at the end Councillor Bentley will make the proposal.
Right, I think certainly Colin's covered most of the sort of pertinent facts out of that. The proposal, I suppose, is that we investigate further by getting quotations from a commercial organisation and also a formal quotation from Yorkshire Water. If you remember previously, it wasn't a formal written undertaking to provide water, it was just conversations over the phone. Was it? Yeah. Oh, that hasn't come to light.
It was a quotation.
Was it a firm quotation?
Well, the Yorkshire Water will say that it could be less, could be more.
Yes, please, through the chair.
Yeah,
okay. So we had an initial quotation from Yorkshire Water at the time, with quite a few caveats on it, saying that depending on what they find when they actually dig up and get access to the water main, and depending on the site, that could vary. It could vary quite substantially, is what they said.
Okay. The proposal then is to approach an undertaking to investigate provision of water by borehole on Rafford Meadows.
That's the quote,
So, yeah.
I wouldn't speak on it.
Clive or Stuart there?
Yeah, can I just speak on this, Chair? Perhaps Councillor Bentley and Councillor Thorne are probably aware that INEOS submitted a planned application at Woodsets earlier this year, which involved test drilling, and that was go through. Well, they had to put a lot of information in, but I suggest you, in the first instance, you contact the planning department at Rotherham, because you may well have to put a planning application in to test drill. I'm not sure whether you will, but I think you'll be wise to ask them first off, because obviously you're going to take vehicles on there and whatever else it involves. I'm not quite sure after reading through it. Does it involve buildings above ground? I think it does, doesn't it? No?
It doesn't necessarily.
But as again, I would say, if it was me, I would ask them what the procedure is, because there may well be some planning application you have to go through or whatever. The other thing is you quote power as well, but there is no power supply to Ratford Meadow. But you do quote you need power to actually make it work. So I think if you've got a quote for drilling an aquifer, I think you need somebody to give you a quote as to putting a power supply on, because you can't discount that from your
at the entrance
financial calculation. So I think that's about it. I know it is on Greenbelt, so you have to bear in mind that normally they ask for special circumstances for carrying out work on that, so that's something you probably need to clarify as to what you can and can't do on there. Although we own it, but there probably will be some regulations, so it's only advice really as to what I think you say. You do quote the use of power, but we ain't got any of that either. So that's it. Thanks, Chair.
Great. Chris just made a valid point. He is obviously a new clerk. We've got new councillors here. Members that have sat around the table have discussed this a couple of times. But Ben or Colin, could you just give us a rationale for why you want water?
It isn't so much a question of want, but the thinking behind it was, if we had a water supply up there, it may very well enhance the field for when we want to let it out for various events, particularly the steam rally or horses or what have you. At least there'll be water up there. I see it as a positive addition to the land.
Wash your dog crap away with water, Colin.
And you can use it to wash away dog poo.
Please, please. Stuart.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with this in the sense that it's another option to be looked at. I think it should be looked at. A couple of things I've got. If we go for a quote, the quote needs to be, speak to the company while there is two ways of doing these wells. One's an exploratory quote, and then they might come back and give you a second goal that has to be land with steel tubing. So that needs to be distinguished, which is the quote we want. Just thinking of what I was saying, there will be infrastructure on the top. There will be some form of pump house, there will be, not a big one, I'm talking small this size, and there will be some form of concrete area where the entrance to the tank would be over there. So they probably would need permission. I think, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't.
That's what you're looking at.
I don't see why I should look at I do believe
Thank you. So I know Ben wanted to come in, but he's already spoken, and as has Colin, we'll get back to them at the end. Diane.
Living in East Anglia, and we actually had a borehole in East Anglia to supply water to the farm because we were not on mains. You can actually bring water up without electricity. You actually need a petrol or diesel powered engine to bring it up. So that is one thing that could be done. You also need a storage tank for that water as well if you're going to bring it up. But I would suggest foremost you need a water diviner to actually find if there's any water there. No, I'm being serious. They are much cheaper than actually going through all of this. You find a water diviner and they will tell you whether there's water there or not and where exactly to drill.
I'd like to just have the only point that I've got. I see absolutely no objection to seeking a quote. There's not a cost to seeking a quote. My own thoughts are that we'd need to have a plan for the field. We need to have really to justify the cost. We probably need to have a thorough plan as to use of the field and events management and things. Anybody else? Miles?
Thank you for doing it. I think it's a step in positive.
Okay, so we've got a proposal. Anything that you need to add to your proposal?
Yeah, just finally, Chairman, in terms of above or below ground, it can be an underground chamber or a subsurface chamber, and try to avoid, obviously, things above ground. In terms of electricity supply, at the gate there's a 440 volt step down on a supply, on a 4,000 volt supply to the farm further down the road. And the quotations that are on that document include a lining within the borehole itself. And also, if you cast your minds back, one of the discussions why we were looking at water was to make Rackford Meadows more attractable or more attractive to hire. And we all know the problems of the steam rally obtaining water in the past, which was a normal domestic hose across the road and into somebody's property, which is far from ideal for them or for us. And of course there might be an ability to make a small profit over the years on selling the water to the events that are held there.
Thank you very much.
Can I just have a look at you've got to be aware as well, Ben, that there's no good topsoil on that, so if you start digging for storage tanks or whatever, you're going to be blasting through or digging through rock, and that isn't expensive. I've been there before, and it is very expensive.
We'll get a chain gang in. And stood water.
Recommend two quotes be obtained for the supply of water to Rackford Meadows. One by Yorkshire Water and one by a water borehole company before Hydrogeological Surveys commissioned.
Yeah.
That was seconded, I think, by Miles. All those in favour? Good. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Colin.
Okay, this is really here for, so C's gone to confidential session, and D and E to confidential session. 9 for a quick discussion, really, just to review the bonfire and fireworks display that took place a few weeks ago. So record amounts of money raised for charity, which is absolutely excellent. So Miles wants to speak on this one. Chris, do you want to update us on?
Well, I'll let you what council's saying, but I have some ideas.
So this is really a debrief, anything that we need to do differently next year, anything that people want to comment on about the...
Can we have shotguns to keep scrubs off the fire in there?
In the budget item. Miles, fire on.
I think it's one of the best attended, and it's still one of the best attended things that council do. Mainly because I think it's the only thing I think we do much of the year, but I think it was brilliant. I've heard nothing but positive things on that, despite the issue we had, which again, it was planned for. It was taken into account. We knew what to do if someone did what they did, and it was handled. And even despite that, despite the fireworks being delayed, it was still a brilliant event, and I think it's still well worth the cost. The only thing is, I thought we might have a working group to go and discuss how we might go about it next year. Instead of, we can talk about it now if you want, the issues and things.
That was going to be my proposal.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be overly formal, but just a small number of councillors with me just to plan next year's events.
And invite the bonfire and firework people down. Yeah.
I've already taken the step of provisionally booking the medical company for next year.
Sorry. Steve, did you have your hand up? I was just sort of stroking the ear. In the distance, Diane, then me, then...
In view of the fact that we didn't have any meetings before the bonfire committee, I think it should be recorded that the clerk did an absolutely fantastic job along with the staff that helped him.
Can I just make one comment?
I'll come to
Sorry.
Thank Thanks very much. The comments that I had were that I thought it went really well. Thank you to the staff as well. I thought that the new first aid supplier was particularly good.
Yeah,
I do
same
think
on
that
that.
we need to review some of the event documentation a bit earlier than we did this year. And several of the kind of commercial vendors, the suppliers, I think they were much better actually. The one that appeared on the last minute actually, that replaced the one that dropped out, was actually really good. Chris had his hamburger on the evening. The hot dogs were very good. Thank you very much. Stuart.
Just a couple of points. There was another, shall we say, I won't say argument, I wasn't there, I don't know. The cricket club weren't happy where we were putting the safety ropes across their land. That needs to be sorted way before. There needs to be an agreement way before we have the event, if they're going to allow us to use their land. We also need to look at roping off from the allotments on the cricket club side down to the cricket club gate, because there's people walking onto the charity land with beers in hand, which that's another thing we need to take into consideration. They're not allowed bottles up in there, but should be allowed beer. The actual firework, this is a few probably miles, the actual placing of the fireworks for firing needs to be put further back towards Hodkins Field, because that would then resolve part of the problem with the cricket club roping off. For some reason they're putting them right at the edge of the field here. And finally, there's a couple more points, intruders. There was at least 2 separate lots of intruders on the far side, so next year we need to have more people up there and a bit more, I won't say organised, because the system worked. There was reports of intruders, the marshals sorted it, took a bit of time, because we had to walk around the field twice to clear it. So the system worked, but we need to preempt it. And finally, next year you probably need to be looking at sometime in July to start the bonfire conversation, make sure we've got plenty of time. And finally, if I remember rightly, there was 3,000, we did a rough clicker test, or Colin did, and I think we came to 3,200.
Something like that. Yeah.
So we're over 3,000 people attended the event.
Right.
Yeah, could I just make a comment, Chair? Again, we could have probably done with more marshals. We were struggling with parity number of parish councillors that turned up, and I think that's got to be critical that we get enough people next year. I'm at a loss as to why people in the village don't actually come forward to marshal, because if you get in the right place, you get the best view of the fireworks and the bonfire. So I think we missed a trick. Probably we should have advertised it in your mag, and we didn't do that. So I think that's one for just for Chris's diary to put an advert in. And I think again, the more marshals, the better. I'd rather have 50 than the minimum number that we need to get by it. Then it does help. We've got plenty of spare capacity then. So I think we need to start that process as early as possible. Thank you.
Just to say, I think that's a good point, Clive. So on the agenda, a good few months ago, it was Stephen, I think, and I that put it on. We were talking about community volunteering, and it dropped off the agenda because it sort of, the discussion at the time was on the Duke and Leeds plan, but I think we probably do need to put community volunteering back on the agenda, because we do get contact from members of the public from time to time saying, can I help out? And actually, I mean, that's a brilliant thing for them to help out with. So I'll put that back on the agenda for next time.
But we did a few years since. We used to get quite a considerable number of ex-councillors and people. We probably had 15, 20 people out of the community that volunteered, but for some reason that seems to have stopped altogether.
I think if you agree who's a member of the working group, you can then agree hold a meeting before Christmas, on the back of it, book the same people.
Sorry, Jeff, can I just make a quick suggestion?
I think some of us are due to meet Chris about the awards and presentation evening. Can we not tie this all in together? Because it's an event, and that's an event. We've got to try and build some sort of diary up events that we have, because the moment we have, they few and far between. It's like once every November. It's not really it's a long time to look forward to something, isn't it? So perhaps if we can put that in the mix, but maybe a later meeting about it, but put it on the same agenda. Because I think it's myself, Councillor Graham, Councillor Thornley, I'm not sure who else there was, about 4 or 5 of us, and the chair and the clerk that were going to be involved in it. Because I know you wanted to set a meeting up, didn't you, Chris, about that?
We also need to organise as well some press coverage for the fantastic amount of money that was raised on that day. We have now got the cheques, so we can do the...
So, well, we decided on the charity meeting, didn't we, last week about it.
So Bev's got the cheques.
Yeah, Chris has got them.
Chris has got the cheques. Hopefully, are they blank?
They're blank,
Your
aren't they, Chris?
Do you want me to email you a contract number?
Okay, so are we happy
Chris
to...
has got the cheques now.
Just on that
need
note, we
somebody
did
to
actually
write them.
receive, Chris, didn't we, a formal thank you from the British Legion, just for allowing them to do the collection on the evening. Just said we actually can just make it noted, we did actually receive a formal thank you from the British Legion and Help for Heroes for allowing them to collect on the evening, so obviously it was a very successful campaign for them.
Did we get a total, because the British Legion were collecting as well, they brought their own, they were selling copies of the... Not yet. So actually the total raised will be more than the 800 not that was collected at the time.
So was that purely the figure that you got, was that just for, that's ours, and that'll be, yeah. Just that's to do it, that's even better.
But just ask that obviously the intention is to have some form of publicity supporting that. The checks, the flag should be there. A representative from the British Legion, representative from the Heroes. I know Diane, you were doing the collection, wasn't you?
I was just going to say, could it be something to do with the fact that my voice carried over the tannoy, and the fact that I went on the tannoy, sorry, I'm coming back on this, that I went on the tannoy and I explained to people who we were collecting for and what had happened in the previous year, and along with that, how much the actual bonfire had cost. And I think as a result of that, it pricked some people's consciences, and we collected more than we have done in the past. So perhaps I need to go on the tannoy more often.
Shall I? Well, no, it's Mrs. Graham. Can I just say, without blowing on to if we do not put that on the agenda, that wouldn't have happened. So I'm going to take credit for that and put it up, because we would have missed out, and if we raised over £1,000 months ago, we may well have done that. That is amazing. So I'm going to take some credit for that.
Oh yeah, it's your suggestion.
How's about the clerk can circulate details? It's something that the whole council has done, regardless of our own opinion. So if the date of any photo, check or whatever is circulated, if Chris circulates it to everyone that was involved on the evening, all the volunteers that were involved on the evening, and all the councillors, and
If you, let's say the contact, if you want to do the advertising again, it's Gareth Dennison, probably, and Kerry Beddoes. So I think you've got the email address.
Can I come back on that? We actually have a local representative for the Rotherham Advertiser. Yeah, in Southampton.
So just a quick show of hands for anyone who's willing to get involved in the Bonfire Night working group.
Well, I will, because I was in the other one, so thank you. It seems easy.
Are you adding it on to the names that are already doing? Are you not getting involved? Are these names added to the people that are already doing the...
No, just planning, just like an informal working group for planning. So this is just sort of volunteering to turn up to an informal working group to plan next year's fall plan.
Paul down as well, volunteering.
So shall we, in that case, shall we just make this an open meeting? Because it seems that everybody wants to be able to...
We want to make it open meeting then. Alright.
Well, should I invite the
probably get that.
No, I think in the first instance we need to decide what went well. If we can get that done before Christmas, then look these individually then.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, have we finished? Can we go on to number 10?
We certainly can. Okay, 10. External meetings update from the clerk.
Yeah, I attended back in October the National Conference of the Society of Local Council Clerks. Quite interesting. Quite a lot of discussion of standards in the sector. But I think of most relevance to the council, I had a plenty of long chats there with relevant contractors, principally around IT, also digital mapping, which I think would be helpful for the council going forward in terms of the efficiency of how we operate.
Councillor Jett?
Sorry, it's meeting item B, is that where we're at?
Yeah. NB.
Just to update the members, we had another meeting of the Parish and Town Council Joint Working Group on the 16th of October at Wickersley Community Centre. That centred mainly about meeting the new head of neighbourhoods at RMBC, Martin Hughes, who gave us a talk basically on what his remit is and how he intends to go about it. And that took up most of the meeting. The other part was regarding the network meeting, which is on the 21st of November, which is this Wednesday, which I hope people will go to at Brinsworth, their new centre called the Centre, which took a lot of thinking about, obviously. But it is a new building, a new parish council building as such, so it might be worth having a look around that and see what facilities they've actually got there. But if I can encourage people to go to that, we need as many people, as I say, members to go. There is a chance to meet members of the parish council and discuss various issues, so there will be some free time. I think Janice Curran has circulated the agenda for it. It's well worth it. We're trying to get these back on track. We used to have them quite regularly. We're trying to make them a bit more meaningful, so they're not just it's not just a talking shop. I'm sure other parish councils have got the same issues that we have, i.e. shortage of money, etc., etc. And it's something that we're trying to actively encourage. So we're looking at how we can work together to get better, more value for money for things that we're trying to do. So that was basically what it was taken up with. The next meeting of the group is on the 4th of December, and taking up Stuart's point, I think from the last time, the minutes, it was discussed and it was agreed that the minutes for these meetings will be circulated to all parish councils once they've been agreed by the members of the working group. So that is something that's hopefully been put into place. And I say, if you can get there on Wednesday, we appreciate it. You can ask questions of Sarah Allen, who I think there's something further on the agenda from her. She's a new cabinet member. She's quite an interesting character, and it's probably well having a conversation with her, because you might 2 and 2 makes 4 with Sarah. So as I say, it's worthwhile coming along. If you don't like it, you don't have to go again, but it is an opportunity to meet other like-minded members. And also I think there's a further planning seminar arranged in January for everybody. I'm not sure that's been circulated, but that is an update on the one that we had about 18 months in. So hopefully members will try and attend that if they can. Be worthwhile. Okay, thank you.
Because it was just to receive, Diana, you have
Yeah,
to...
no, it's just to tell people where it is, because if you're not careful, you'll miss it. Before you turn into it, you go through an estate, and it's a supermarket that's been built on the corner. The entrance used to be further along, and the only reason I know is because the bowling green's attached to it.
You've been before. Can we on C then, somebody volunteer or someone? Are we looking for one volunteer?
No, as many people can go as they want.
As many people as they want to go on Wednesday.
Yeah, there's a supermarket there, and you go through there,
Feel
and
free
you
to
go
turn
right
up.
up there.
Look for the bowling green.
Yeah, it's an open invitation.
As I said, just quickly, we started this before at the town hall, which cost a fortune in parking fees, so it's good to consider those.
There is plenty of
This
parking.
is the first one I've had for a long time, if I'm right. For those that have not been, certainly, I don't know what's actually going to happen there, but in the past, Hampstead Parish Council had 3 or 4 councillors who we used to hold RMBC to account, which they didn't like, they held to account. So it's well worth, I don't know about the first meeting, but in the long term, it's well worth going there. And you get to understand a little bit more how the government try to get us to do things.
Thanks, ladies and gents. That's those updates received. 11, parish matters already been done. 12, correspondence, again tied in. So we've received a letter from Sarah Allen offering to meet the council. I think Marcia was slightly earlier. Can I have a proposal on this, please?
We could organise a meeting and find out how we can apply her advice to this building, how we can make it a greener building. recycled water, solar panels, all that, then how we can go about improving it.
So you're proposing
And
that we...
that we'd like to consider.
Nice.
She's going to do it, well, the answer, sorry to interrupt,
Sorry,
the previous
Stuart.
cabinet member came out last
Stuart.
I'll just sort of, first of all, I don't know who she is, cabinet member McLean in the communities. I've no problem meeting anybody from RNBC, but sometimes it proves quite interesting. The last time we had somebody come, the person thought we were just going to bend over backwards and listen to what she said, and she didn't make much of the answer back. Before this councillor comes, I'd like to see some form of agenda of some kind, so we know what we're expected to discuss or talk about. It's all right saying, yeah, we're offered to meet Councillor Sarah Allen, but what for? You know, there's no point just meeting unless we're prepared to ask certain questions what they want to tell us.
I think it's an exploratory first meeting initially. Clive?
It's purely to actually come to the parish council and talk to them about what her role is, what she would like to do in the parish council, etc., etc. It's not a formal structured meeting with that. It would be purely before the parish council meeting, so it would probably a 10-minute slot, and then if people wanted to ask her questions, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to take.
Just to clarify, as part of her portfolio, she's responsible for parish and town council liaison. So she's written out to all the parish councils, asking if they want to invite you to a meeting to discuss whatever you want to discuss.
I'll bring in Colin, and I think we need to conclude on this, because all we need to do is say yes or no as to whether we want to meet a councillor from Rotherham. So it should be a very quick one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All I was going to say was, if she's concerned with cleaner and greener communities, wouldn't this also involve the clearance of dog poo?
Quiz her about dog poo.
You're correct.
Bio waste incineration.
Specific for the next council meeting?
Well, as soon as you can
The clerk to arrange.
If you're saying for this person to come to the next meeting, is it coming to address us as councillors, or to address us as everybody, the public and
She's
all?
come to the council.
To talk to the council.
Right, so it doesn't necessarily have to be on a council meeting.
No.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just trying to say it's...
Are we happy to let rather than tying ourselves in knots about this, are we happy to let the clerk?
Yes.
We'll invite, the clerk will liaise with the It's seconded. All those in favour? Public comments. So, any comments or questions from members of the public?